We are here today with J.E. Mueller, whose book, well, at the time of recording, I will have just read the first in your fairy tale retelling series, but at the time of publication, it'll be like several months ago. So, time travel. Anyways, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're working on at the moment, and then we'll get into your stuff that's already out.
Hi, well, I write fantasy. I like writing all kinds of fantasy. Nothing's really off limits for me. So, as you said, you read the first of the fairy tale ones. So, I've dabbled a lot in modern fairy tale retellings and high fantasy with more magic that's got curses, demons, corrupt angels, that sort of thing.
Wow.
And currently, I'm working on well, technically 3 projects, 2 actual publishing projects. One, I'm working on the last book in this Portal series that started with the main character throwing in a bath bomb and getting sucked into another realm. So that's a lot of fun. A little
That's
crazy
wonderful.
shenanigans.
That's wonderful.
It really is. And I've started this story just trying to jot down enough of the ideas so I don't forget it later. Based off of a post that said, hey, you shouldn't go walking into the woods and finding fairy circles because that's how the fae gets you. And the next comments are like, oh yeah, that's how I'm going to find my fae husband. So I started a story where the main character is so done with human life that she literally goes searching for the fae.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's wonderful.
I thought it was really funny, so I started it, got everything jotted down. So getting a good start on that before I go back and finish my series.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's fun.
The more
Okay.
magical shenanigans, the better.
Well, I mean, if you're going to play with the forces of the universe, you might as well do shenanigans.
Just dive right in. Why not?
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. Very exciting. So is there like a timeline for these two, or are you just, as you get them done, you'll put them out sort of a thing?
Sort of. So everything I'm working on now won't be out until next year or years after. I actually have a backlog built up.
Oh,
So
okay then. Wow.
I have one more book that in theory will be out before this video goes live. And it has to do with dragons. So kind of Regency vibes. I have a healer who she's stuck in an arranged marriage. She's trying to learn how to duel to get out of it and get some dragon help along the way.
Oh.
So that'll be a lot of fun. It will be either out in October or November, so
Mhm.
depending
Mhm.
on how editing and everything goes.
Yeah, that is always the question mark, isn't it?
And then I hope to publish my Portal series next year at some point. There'll be
Oh,
3 books
okay.
of that. And then I have one other standalone that it's high fantasy in a modern setting, but Pride and Prejudice in like a college setting. So um
Oh.
Lizzie Bennett and Mr. Darcy, they're part of Monster Slayer sorority fraternity group, and it's ridiculous. And I had so much fun with it.
That is wonderful. I love it. Ridiculous is, yes, go for it. I can
Yeah,
imagine so many things going wrong. Oh, those poor
a lot
people.
of thrown. I have only had one person who just alpha read it to see if it was the right vibe, and she really loved it. I was surprised with all the positive feedback since, of course, it's modern, college, monster slayers. It goes off on its very own tangents.
Mhm. Mhm. But that's the fun part. I mean, you get to take the classic story and go and say, we'll go that way.
Like, well, what if? And you can see the parallels a lot in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
and then it takes a hard left turn and you're somewhere else.
Yes. This is going to be wonderful. That'll be
I,
exciting.
I had so much fun with it.
Okay, so let's talk about the stuff that you've got out now.
Well, that's 7 books of chaos.
Okay. Okay. Reasonable
So
amount of chaos there.
I have 2 different series that are
Mm-hmm.
completely done that are out.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I finished was my medieval fantasy series.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the one that follows all the different curses and demons and angels. And then the second series is all the fairy tales, which
Mm-hmm.
is a little more lighthearted, very modern, uses a lot of different weird fairy tale tropes, but a lot of good feedback. I think most people like seeing the themes they're familiar with, but with slightly different everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was fun to read. I definitely enjoyed that one. Although I'm curious now about your medieval one, if it's rather completely different. So, oh, this should be fun. All right. Wow. You've got quite the range going on here.
Yeah, I really like dealing with magic that doesn't always go right. So,
I think that's a good place to start.
and especially if I can use any sort of lesser gifts or things that should be a really positive thing and make them as negative as possible.
Oh. Oh, I see. Wow. So really going and turning things on their head. I mean, wow. Okay then.
It's fun.
Yeah. Sounds like. Okay, so you've got 7 books out. You have a whole slew of backlog and stuff going into next year. I mean, wow. I'm a little impressed with this. So you just, yeah, you must just write a fair amount, and then of course the editing and publishing process is a bit that takes a while.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
pretty consistently writing almost daily, at least a little bit of something.
Mm-hmm.
It can
Mm-hmm.
range anywhere from one day last week I only wrote 38 words. That's it. It was an off day. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just play some Animal Crossing, relax a little bit. I did something, I tried. And then
Yeah.
there was another day where I had almost 6,000 words.
Wow.
So
Wow. Okay. So then
it
comes
can
yeah, the quintessential question of where do the ideas like do you just okay, you got one from a post, obviously, but where in the world does one get portal fantasy from a bath bomb?
another post.
Okay, okay.
That was actually another Faye sort of post too I saw on Facebook, because we're always scrolling through that. Someone's like, beware bath bombs because that's how the Fae get you. And I'm like, I don't really see Faye doing that. But they always remind me of like all those space pictures you see, black holes and everything. I'm like, what if it took you to another realm instead? Like you're getting ready for a bath and then all of a sudden, bam, you're somewhere else.
That would be so awkward.
It would. I let her keep her clothes.
Oh, thank goodness, because I mean, I can just imagine showing up in a bathrobe going,
Yeah. Tosses in the bath bomb and she's like, ooh, this is really cool. And then all of a sudden the magic just kind of grabs her and she falls in.
oh, okay, okay.
So I'm not a too mean of an author. Not exactly to start. I give her a little
To
space.
start. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Although I feel like with that, the shop that sold it to her could probably make a fortune sending people to this other realm. Just, huh. You need people to go work in your tea factory. Okay, here we go. Poof.
Yeah,
Yep.
there's so many ideas you can do just with one little Facebook post.
Yeah, wow. Although
So,
that's an I wouldn't have thought of the bath bomb one. That one seems a little frightening. But then I'm not actually sure how they work. So normal people things that I go, no.
to get some normal ideas, like An Unexpected Brew, which you read, that is largely based off of me rewatching the Rogers and Hammerstein Cinderella with Brandy.
Oh gosh, I haven't seen that in a very
I
long
love
time.
that one. It's amazing. And I was watching it again, like a year and a half ago, and I'm like, this would be really fun if it was more modern. But
Mhm.
how do you do that? How do
Mhm.
you take Cinderella from working night and day for her family to, well, working night and day for her family? So I decided to give the family a business that
Mhm.
keeps her kind of trapped in there.
Mhm.
You saw where it went.
Yeah, it was fun. Very fun. I liked the extra bits in the coffee. It's like, I could definitely use some of that.
Coffee shop with booze. The whole
Yeah.
boost idea actually came from like all those different smoothie places, how they're
Oh,
like, add an energy boost, add this, add that. And I'm just like, well, if you could do that with coffee, adding a little more charisma or luck, or especially in a college setting, you definitely
yeah.
need it. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I understand why they're so busy. So, I mean, that's definitely a thing.
I would live there if I could.
Yes. Oh, man. Now I want a smoothie, but that's an entirely irrelevant segue. Oh, this is the problem. These conversations, oh yes, especially when books describe food or drinks, I'm like, I'd love that. That would be really good. And then I try to replicate it in real life and it goes poorly.
Yeah, it's a little harder. Thankfully, I have some coffee shop experience. Years and years and years ago, I worked at one, so
Hmm.
I knew enough to kind of set the scene and try and figure out how they would add it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how much research do you do for all of your different things? Because I imagine most of it's your, different realm. You don't really have to worry about researching too much.
No,
But
not too
some of
much.
your pieces sound completely, okay, you have to know this, like the Pride and Prejudice bit. Okay, you have to know college and how the sorority works and the fraternity and then monsters and I mean
Yeah. The
problems.
sorority thing was a little harder because I only did community college, so there was no Greek life setting. So
Right.
I was on my Discord chat group. I'm like, so who was in a sorority? How did that work? What is Rush Week actually like and that movie like?
What? There's a movie?
Like all the different college movies they show
Oh.
parties and things like that. It's like, what are they actually like? What's a real college doing that Hollywood's, messing up on? So,
I don't know.
yeah, I wouldn't know the difference either. So,
I
lots of
mean, I have
Googling,
no
lots of
idea.
asking around.
Hmm. I mean, I know my college had fraternities and sororities, but they weren't affiliated with the national ones, so it was very different.
Hmm.
Okay, now I'm curious, but I'm not that curious, so I think I'll just let that go and be until I read your book, probably.
Most of it I searched just enough to get the information going before I could turn it into my own world. So,
Hmm.
here's the realistic, plausible start,
Yeah,
and we're going this way.
yeah, yeah. That's always the fun part. Of course, you get plot twists in there that come out of nowhere and okay, do I follow the little twist here or do I stay with the what you would expect sort of a thing, and I would imagine you could do a fair bit with that.
Yeah, there's a lot of different tangents, and it's like,
Hmm.
what would be the most fun? What would be the worst for the character?
Are those not the same thing?
Depends on the setting.
Ah, I suppose that's true. I suppose. Yeah, that could be bad. Okay. Oh, I had a question and it poofed. I got distracted by the rain. It is now officially raining, so yes, this is a thing. Um, okay, so your fantasy is kind of like all over the place in terms of okay, you've got the fairy tale retellings, which is separate from your Pride and Prejudice fantasy mishmash. I'm not entirely sure. There's a proper word for it, but I don't know what it is. I've seen it. I just can't
Smash
remember.
Works.
Is that what that is?
I don't know, but I like it. Mishmash, hybrid, kind of Frankenstein
Something
ideas
like that.
together.
Yeah. But then you've got your high fantasy, which you said was a bit more serious, not quite on the, I would imagine, on the dark side of things, but perhaps more intense.
Not very dark. It definitely is that borderline YA sort of new adult, but focusing on the quest.
Okay. Interesting.
So the first one starts with the main character, Key. She is stuck with this touch-based fire curse. She can't have any skin-to-skin physical contact without burning someone from the inside out.
Oh, ow. That
Yeah,
would be unfortunate. I mean,
a little more serious vibes to start, but
yeah.
Shenanigans.
I like how that just explains your entire style. Things are going normal, and then shenanigans.
It really does. I like having some whimsy vibes to kind of tie everything together. I do like having some serious focus, but I also like having fun too. So
yeah,
nothing stays too dark and intense for very long.
Right. Huh. Well, that's always good to know. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so do you have any like big plans for future pieces in the next however long it takes you to do all of your things?
I really don't know as far as big plans go. Like, I try to stay as focused on the project until I complete it as possible. Like, every so often a new idea will pop up and I'll jot down enough that I can return to it later, no problem.
Yeah, jotting down ideas is always a good idea, I have discovered, because sometimes they go away and
yeah, we can't remember everything. I know we try. I know I've said before, I'm totally going to remember this. I totally will write it down in the morning. No, I never do.
No. Have you ever had that moment where you wake up in the middle of the night with an idea and you write it down or put it on your phone or whatever, and then in the morning it's, how did I get goat's milk?
Yeah, you have no idea what you actually meant. I've done that quite a few times.
Okay.
I'll start up an email and I'll send it to myself and I'll wake up, I'll be like, I'm sure there's an idea here, but past me really sucked at describing it, so now present me is just going to have to let it go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, well, moving a little bit sideways, because we can, and shenanigans and all that stuff. What does your editing process look like?
What does it look like? So
There's an answer for you.
It's kind of weird because it really depends on where I am in the process. Usually I'll set a story aside for a little bit. I'll come back. I'll start with light edits and revisioning, completing just any obvious mistakes, trying to make sure sentences make sense, try and get rid of all the plot holes. And whenever I feel it's done with that, if it's 1 or 6 drafts later, then I look for a couple of people to read it, try and get some beta readers on that, and then go from whatever they say to revise again before finding an actual editor. So the beta feedback, it can be weird because sometimes the feedback's like, oh, hey, you just need to do this, this, and this, and you're done. And other times it's like, so you're ending. It's good, but it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Oh, no. I hate when that happens.
Actually, it was the last book in my Fire Song series. The last one's called Dreamer's Melody, and the ending just had so much coming together at once that I thought it was crystal clear, but none of the betas got it. So I revised that thing like 6 times, and every time I'm like, can you please reread this section? Can you please reread this section? And eventually it got to the point where it's like, okay, this is perfect. Everything's tied up. You're good to go. But you just never really know how long that beta feedback is going to take before you get to sending it off to a real editor.
Sometimes the logic is perfectly clear up here,
Oh yeah.
not on the paper.
Up here, it's usually pretty good, but
Yeah.
it happens. And, some sections take next to nothing to fix, and others, you had 5 pages. It just happens.
Yeah. It's just a little adjustment there.
A little bit.
Yeah. Oh, fun. All right. Well, of your whole process from the idea bit, scrolling through Facebook, and all the way to the look, I made money off of this bit. What's your least favorite part?
Definitely like toward the end of editing, where I've seen it so many times I just don't want to look at it anymore.
Yeah.
I know the story, it's no longer fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why this one line's not working, or I really love this line, but everyone else hates it. And you're just kind of like, can we just be done? Can I just like magic this to be edited and fixed and someone else do this now? So usually around there, it kind of gets a little more fun again when it gets to the book proof copy and you're like, oh, I can do this now.
Yeah.
But then you're reading it again and you're like, oh, didn't I just do this?
Yeah, that's the point where I would send it off to an editor and then do something else while they work on it. Because once you start looking at it and going, well, I think this whole character's backstory needs to be completely redone, but that would mean rewriting books 1 through 3, then you have a problem.
Yeah. So usually while that's off, I try to work on other fun things. So
Yeah.
projects are always in different stages of completion.
I understand that one well. Many different stages of the writing world out there. Yeah. Again, I had a question, but I think I'm going to wait on that one just for funsies. Okay. So, for all of the fantasy books out there that you've done, I mean, all the shenanigans, do you know of any author out there whose style is similar? Just things are normal and then not so much? Because I'm trying to think of another one, and I mean, sometimes they start off just completely abnormal and then go towards normal, and sometimes it's mostly. I'm trying to think.
Like, I really don't know any authors that have similar styles to me. And anytime someone has suggested one, another person's immediately come back and said, no, not at all. And like half of the ones that have been suggested, I've never even read, so I can't even.
Oh, no. Oh, that's
like
always
one
the
of my favorites was someone at this book event. She's like, oh, I loved your book. It reminded me so much of Sarah J. Maas. And I'm like, oh, great. But I've never read her before. So I don't know anything about her style or anything. And another person who was there, she's just looking at her like, what? No, it's not like that at all. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you've read her too? Is she a good author to be compared to at least? She's like, oh, yeah, I loved her stuff, but yours isn't like that. All right. Whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know for advertisements, it's useful to be able to say, oh, fans of person X and Y and Z, they can all be, they'll like my books. And I'm thinking, but that's like not at all the same. Not even at all the same.
Yeah.
I'm really terrible at that.
Have no idea.
Okay. That is a perfectly acceptable answer, and I like it.
Like everything I even read, it's usually way different than my own writing.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's kind of okay, because you write the stuff that you want to read. So if you don't see something like what you're writing, well, then therefore you're filling this gap, right? Isn't that how it works?
Totally.
Yeah.
I love seeing things and authors choosing this path or that path, and I'm just like, but what if this instead?
Yeah, that all-important question. What if I accidentally, caused more trouble than you were intending? Yeah. Ooh, fun. That'll be great. Okay. Now, for people out there who are trying to do the let's write many books in various different styles, all with the same core theme of shenanigans. Um, sorry, it's one of my favorite words to say. I really do. It's just
I love it. And it like really fits me most days. Just kind of like, let's turn this bath bomb into a portal. Let's make, Mr. Darcy a monster slayer. Why not? Let's, have secret dragons going to this academy.
Oh yes, indeed. For all of your different styles with the same general idea of what's going on. I mean, are there traps that people should avoid when either reading or writing this sort of a thing? Because I imagine you could cause a lot of trouble and not necessarily solve all of the problems at once.
Yeah, definitely. It really just depends. Like, are you committing to a series or you want the standalone? If you're going to a series, you can cause a lot of trouble to start, and then you got like 2, 3, 4 books to solve it.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a standalone, you definitely want to kind of have lower shenanigans to start, let things get a little crazy, and then kind of streamline back to where you were.
Interesting. I feel like series, though, they all tie up nicely at the end because, I mean, that's what you do with the end of a series most of the time. Most of the time. But I feel like, oh, hello, Thunder. There's a lot more trouble that gets caused progressively in each book before it gets all tied up at the very end.
Oh, for sure. You always want to try not to, but characters do what they want. They really do.
Yes.
So, I accidentally had a character become BFFs with a demon at one point, so I mean...
Accidentally?
That wasn't really part of the original plan, but she's like, oh, by the way, this person I've been talking to for years, and I'm just like, this wasn't in the original arc at all. But okay, I guess we're going with it.
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic. Oh, just hasn't happened. You should maybe.
Ooh, that was loud enough for me to hear.
Hold on, it's not done yet. Excuse me, I'm trying to talk here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Normally I love thunderstorms, but right in the middle of the...
It's fine. Just a little added shenanigans.
Yep. Gonna be fun. Anyways, I completely lost track of what I was saying, except your characters also seem to cause just as much trouble as you do. So you have, like the ongoing battle between characters and author, and there you go.
One of the characters in the second book in that Fire Song series, the book's called Spirit's Lullaby. She's like, oh yeah, so this is Morella. She's my BFF. I've known her for years, but it's a secret because she's a demon, so... And I'm just like, okay, well, you were the cinnamon roll character, so this kind of surprises me, and I guess we're just gonna have to accept it.
Yeah.
See how this fits in the plot.
Yeah.
Why are you friends with the demon?
Oops. Oh well, I'm sure it worked out just fine in the end.
Oh eventually. Yeah, it worked out way better than I was expecting.
Oh well, there you go. Problem solved.
Thankfully, I'm glad that series is over. It was great. I love that universe, but goodness, those characters. They just like, oh, so I know we're supposed to go here, but I think I see something over there, and I'm going this way instead. Bye.
Yep. Those are always fun, though, I have to say. It's just expectations and then reality. And I like it, probably because reality defies expectation all the time. But, whatever. Okay, so we've got your fairy tale retelling series. It is complete. Your Fire Song series also complete. You've got your Portal Fantasy next year, you said?
Yeah, that's next year. Anyway.
Okay. And remind me of the other bits that I'm missing, because I think there is definitely something that I'm missing.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot. Hopefully around the time this video comes out and everything, I have that little bit of a salty healer stuck in that arranged marriage trying to do eating dragons. That one is called By the Skies, and hopefully that'll be out in October, November-ish. So
yes. I shall be sure to include all of the information in the description box when this actually does go live, because it's kind of useful to find the books and things.
Just a little bit.
Okay, fantastic. And I feel like Kelly would be angry if I didn't bring up Roscallum and see your reaction.
So, out of all Kelly's characters, and she has a lot that are really evil, and for video's sake, Kelly Blanchard, in case new people.
Yes, we'll be sure to.
Like, some are so pure and evil, and Roscallum, he's definitely evil, but he's like low-level totem pole evil, definitely like the pond scum of the universe. You're not sure how he lived that long. He's incompetent. He's corrupt. He's definitely destroying everything, and you just want to stab him. And
a little bit, yeah.
You can't stab him. Like, he survives the first book, and then
I know.
Book, and you're just like, what the heck, Kelly? He is so incompetent. And finally, things happen to him, and you're like, oh, well, hopefully karma comes soon, because I still want to smash his face in, and he's.
I feel like if someone had taken the time at the very beginning of all of the things going badly, if someone had just stopped and said, okay, look, here's how the universe really works. Here's how you think it works. Here's how it's really working. And just kind of sit over there in the corner and leave us alone, and all of the problems with him would have been avoided.
I love Kelly's villains, except for him. Like, they're great, they're evil, they're like very manipulative and playing the long game, and Roscallum is just like, I am an idiot. I really wanted magic. I finally figured out how to get magic, and I can't get it to work. So I only do this one spell, and I do it wrong. So instead of killing anybody, I turn them into statues.
Yeah. I mean, it's great if you want to do, like, you know, a statuary or something, but for villain's sake,
he's like, okay, there's a statue now. Take him outside, guys.
Yeah, the big field.
Like, that would be creepy and menacing, but it's like he didn't even have a plan to make it creepy and menacing and beware me. He's just like, well, there's a statue now. I don't know what to do. Just stick him out front or something.
Yeah, I ran out of space in the sunroom.
It's scratched on this guy's face. Can you just put him somewhere else? I hate that character so much.
But can you imagine the spoofs that you could come up with?
Oh gosh. Like, if that character was in like a more modern kingdom, could you imagine? Yeah, even the Thunder agrees. He should have been just chucked out of that universe like so long ago.
Yeah. I do love me a good villain, but he is not a good villain.
He's not good at anything. Like, I'm surprised he figured out how to breathe correctly.
Well, I mean, to be fair, breathing is a subconscious act, and so it doesn't really take lots of logic.
Yeah, he got lucky there.
This is true. All right, well, it has been absolutely fantastic talking with you. Is there anything else you'd like to add, writing related or otherwise?
Goodness, after that tangent, my brain is just like so like on this. I'm just like, gosh, I hate that character so much. And like, I really hope that eventually I had like that one character that people just the second they hear, they're just like, oh, why do they exist? I wish you killed them off in book 1, but all right. Well, it was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, it was great talking with you. Have a fantastic day and go cause thee some trouble.
You know what? I think I will. That sounds great.
All right. Bye.